Hey there, Skullheads, I'm Snags.
And I'm Ol Silky.
We got a special show for you cats tonight. I'm gonna let Silky lay it down for you.
We have the original drummer from Blue Öyster Cult, Albert Bouchard. Started, well, it's currently with the Dictators, and I do want to hear more about that. Anyone who remembers the Dictators from the 70s, probably the original punk band, arguably. You could talk about the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, but the Dictators were right there. But Snags and I both kind of hold to MC5 and the Stooges.
New York
Before
Dolls,
that,
don't forget the
yeah,
dolls.
a lot of. But anyway, so we've got Albert Bouchard on, and this is a big show. I go all the way back with Blue Öyster Cult. Usually, each of their album covers were just phenomenal. You look at going to the middle of Albert's tenure with them, the Cultosaurus Erectus album cover scared the hell out of me as a little kid. And mainly, you looked at it long enough, you could see the little spaceship in front of this dinosaur thing. I'd love to hear more about these album covers, but Albert, we're really just kind of let you go. We're like maybe discuss some of the soft white underbelly, the Oaxaca,
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca, and some of the Stalk Forest group stuff. Just what led into you guys coming together as this amazing futuristic rock band,
Thank you, Silky. So the genesis of the group is that I went to engineering school after high school, Clarkson College of Technology. I'd played in a band with my brother and my cousin and a couple other cousins for about 7 years by then. We started when I was 12. I think we were in seventh grade or something, 6th or 7th grade. And we actually got paid. I think, yeah, we got paid within a couple months of, well, we did what nowadays they call it busking. We played out in front of my cousin Teddy's house and on the street. We put out a tambourine and
that's awesome.
People would throw a dime or quarter in. We would make a little money like that. But we actually got a paid gig about 6 months after we started playing for the Boy Scout dance. I think we got $15, something like that. It seemed like an outrageous sum.
Were you doing like blues covers and the typical?
No, not at all, man. This is 1959.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, blues had not made the comeback that it did, only a few years later.
Some Elvis and stuff, or no?
We played some Venture songs.
Okay.
Perfidia, and we couldn't play but Walk Don't Run. It was too hard.
Yeah.
We did play the Peppermint Twist. That was our one rock song, and then we played Wonderland by Night by Burnt Kemperf and Stranger on the Shore, and
nice.
And Chances Are we played like jazz
some of that stuff.
Actually,
no Dick Dale crazy stuff.
No, that didn't come around, I don't think, until after that.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it was really the Ventures were the originators of rock on the Fender guitar.
They were amazing.
Yeah. So and we that was our goal, to learn how to play Walk Don't Run.
Nice. What were your what influences did you have?
Well, mostly what I liked was, my mother. Okay, so during the war, my mother graduated from college, and she got a job with J. Edgar Hoover. As she was this guy Tolson's secretary, in the FBI, and she lived in Chicago, and she was a single woman. She didn't marry my dad until she was 29, I think. So she was, just out of college, 22, 23 years old, making really good money with the FBI. And so she had an extensive record collection. And naturally, being from Chicago or being located in Chicago, she had the Benny Goodman records. And so that's the first thing that I heard was Gene Krupa playing the drums.
Wow.
So that was the biggest influence, I think, really, even to today. I still listen to that, Sing, Sing, Sing song. And wow,
we had
blows me away.
we had an interesting conversation with this band Black Sabbath. It's basically a female Black Sabbath tribute band, and the drummer for that band was talking about how Bill Ward is basically a jazz drummer, and
Hmm.
a lot that your whole generation of drummers, Ginger Baker, you, Bill Ward, even Peter Criss from Kiss, really jazz was their main influence. It's really interesting. I think the drumming is a lot more interesting from that era because of that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Bill Ward. I mean, I think that Black Sabbath has had a lot of great drummers since Bill Ward, but he was the best.
Oh
He
By
was
yeah,
the
far.
best. I mean, for them, I know that him personally. We toured with them for a while, and he was kind of a mess.
But
yeah.
yeah,
His
that
He
was the Black
really
and Blue tour, right?
no. That Vinny Appice played on that.
Oh,
A
okay.
great drummer,
Oh,
a
that's
great
right. That
drummer,
was
and a
the Dio
wonderful
era.
guy.
yeah.
And he kept it together. Bill Ward would just he would get on, he would be drunk on the plane, and in
Yeah,
the
they
morning
were.
it was like not good.
What what
I'm
what year?
currently reading Geezer Butler's book, and he talks about how they set Bill Ward on fire all the time.
Oh my
It
God.
was like a party trick or something, and it was
Oh,
horrible.
probably they were lighting his farts.
Yeah, this terrible stuff.
Brothers of the Blue Flame.
What were you going to say, Snags?
I was just gonna ask. So when were you? When did you tour with Bill Ward and the Ozzy era Sabbath?
Well, he actually, I think he started the Black and Blue tour, but
Yeah, I think so.
we toured with him. We toured with him in, geez, I'm trying to think now.
Mid 70s,
Oh yeah. But it was
probably
well,
Agents
we
of
were.
Fortune. Or,
It was before. It was before Agent.
oh
It
yeah,
was maybe 74, 75, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, we did like a half a dozen gigs. Not that many, really, but
oh yeah,
we got to ride on the plane. I got to sit next to Geezer once.
yeah,
That was cool. He's a cool guy.
yeah. Hey, you should check his book out. It's pretty good. Um,
Yeah, I
but
will.
yeah, so you got into like Soft White Underbelly. I could find nothing on them. It was that basically you guys, and you just kind of changed the name.
Mm, what happened? So I went to college and I met Don Roser, otherwise known
Yeah,
as Buck Dharma,
yeah,
and we had a college band that at first we sucked, and then about it after playing for about a year, we came back our sophomore year. We started in our freshman year. We came back the sophomore year, and I had been playing in a blues band in upstate New York after I finished my summer school
right.
because I flunked a class.
Ah,
So I had to go to summer school, and when I came back to my hometown, there was a band that one of my students was playing in, a blues band, and his parent, he was like 17 or something. He wasn't even old enough to play in the bars, but his parents moved to Florida, so he had to go. So they needed a drummer, and they said, "Hey, you want a gig for the summer?" I said, "Sure," because their guitar player, this guy named Peter Haviland. Pete Haviland was also there for the summer because he was a student at what's the place? Well, another college in Geneva. I can't remember the name of it now. It's going to come to me at some point. But and so I played in that band, and they were really popular. And I came back to school and I said, guys, we got to play the blues, and Don Roser said, hey man, I wanted to tell you the same thing. I saw this band, the Blues Project. They are so amazing,
Oh, yeah.
you know. And I said, oh yeah. And he said, yeah, yeah. Hey, they're playing at the cafe in New York City next weekend. Let's go down there.
That's awesome.
So we borrowed a car on the weekend and we drove to New York City. We saw the Blues Project and we drove back the same day. Broke dawn, coming back and all the way back going, wow, the Blues Project. Yeah, we got to get their album. And so we got their album. We played all the Blues Project songs, and we went from being the worst band on campus to being the most popular band.
One of the most prolific.
There you go. So, well, we didn't do any original songs, but they didn't know that. We were playing Blues Project songs.
Awesome.
And nobody heard of them. So it was great, so Don, myself, and Jeff Latham, we all dropped out of school. We said, fuck school, we gonna make our living making music, I mean, we were getting $100 a night, a man, in 1967.
That's fantastic.
So that was, $500. That was top money for like a local band,
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, and we went to Rochester, and we got another musician to play with us, and we started going around to the clubs to get a job, and he says, oh, guys, I can't do it. My mother, my mom and dad got me a job at Kodak, and that's like that's a lifetime job, man. That's like real security there. So
right.
So I can't I can't go play with you, because I have to do this job. I'm like, oh man. So we go down to Albany and we find another guy to play with us, and so we try and get gigs at Lake George and stuff like that, and we could not get a gig. We broke up, and Jeff Latham went back to Chicago, Don went back to New York, and I went back to upstate New York, to Clayton, New York. And then so I was working as a carpenter, and I get a call from Jeff Latham in Chicago saying, hey man, I joined this band. They got a record deal. They have plenty of money. I told them they're looking for a drummer. I told them, they got to get you. So they're willing to fly you out, try you out. I said, okay. So I said, do I have to bring my drums? He goes, yeah. They'll fly your drums too. So I flew to Chicago with my drums from Syracuse, New York, a little tiny plane, but they got the drums on there, and I got to Chicago, and the band lasted 2 weeks, and then we got the big advance. I remember they took us out to Simon Garfunkel concert, and then we had dinner afterwards, and they presented the check for $10,000 to the band leader, which was a really good advance. And that was it. We never saw him again. Never saw or heard from him again.
And you weren't legally obligated to pay it back, or
I didn't get anything. I stayed at the band house for the 2 weeks left on the lease, and then I had to crash at different people's houses.
Right.
I had friends in Chicago, so I'd crash there, and I'd ask my mother to send me money, and and I had a little side business dealing, illegal stuff.
Right.
And trying to survive,
Chicago,
yeah. So in the end of the summer, Don Roser says, "Hey, I'm coming out with one of our buddies from Clarkson, Steve Sauter." He says he's got a big Cadillac. We're driving out, and we want to hang out with you and have you can show us. Because I had already told them that I'd met Little Richard and, Wells Street in Chicago and the whole scene in Chicago. So they were like, and I said, oh yeah, I can get pot, no problem. So they come out, we get high, we go around, we do all the stuff, the touristy stuff, and see some bands. And then they're going to go back. I said, please take me with you. Please. Right. I got to get out of here. Right. At least if I can get on a bus and go go home to my parents if I have to,
Right.
So I went back to New York City, and I uh, I stayed with Don's parents for 2 weeks while I painted their house. And when I finished painting the house, they said, "You have to find another place to live." Well, by
Oh,
that time, I'd met Sandy Perlman. And Sandy was like, "I want to manage, you guys, me
yeah.
and Don and these other guys that we were jamming with." So I said, "Okay." And he said, "And I got a place where you can stay." I said, "Oh, cool. Where is it?" He said, "Well, it's off campus housing at Stony Brook, but there's some Stony Brook students living there, but you can sleep on the couch." I said, "Oh, cool," and it was 5 girls.
What are you gonna do?
So that was cool, except that and the only mischief was Sandy and one of the girls. So
Uh,
his
well,
girlfriend ended.
Sandy Perlman. So he becomes your manager.
Yeah,
He wrote a lot of songs for you guys, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And he initially worked with the Dictators.
yeah. He discovered them. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that had to be
So
huge to meet him right out of the chute.
yeah. Well, he was not. He was not the force that he became Black Sabbath's manager too.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but when I met him, he'd never managed anybody. He was a
gotcha.
rock critic for Crawdaddy magazine, which was it was probably the first rock magazine. I think it
Yeah,
was
next to
first.
Cream, where they were out
Yeah,
before Cream.
yeah, before Cream.
Yeah,
I mean, at first it was Crawdaddy, then there was Rolling Stone, and then there was Cream.
yeah.
So and I actually wrote for I think issue number 7 and 8 of Crawdaddy, right at the beginning. So yeah, through Sandy got me a gig. I needed some money,
Nice.
$15 a review. And I did about 10 reviews, and they used 2.
Typical. Um,
So yeah,
so
yeah,
so
was that
you
a not when
We
not
had
what's
a
that?
little bit
a
of a
career
drop.
for me?
We had a little bit of a drop out there. You were talking about the reviews
Okay.
you wrote for Crawdaddy.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd I'd written 10 reviews and they used 2, and so I made $30 off of Crawdaddy.
What you're a published author at that point.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I know. My mother was so proud.
published rock critic. Yeah.
Uh, so now you get in, you start touring. The first album, 1972. You guys went
Hmm.
pretty solid album tour. Do you have any
Yeah,
like crazy road stories or any how were things going? You guys were still friends and getting along, or did the
yeah, pretty much. I
cliche
mean,
drug stuff come through? And
well, we were all doing drugs,
yeah,
but not really, not the hard drugs. There was no heroin or any of that. I mean, not in those days. I think after Reaper, you know, uh, then some of the crew, we'd hire people and
mm,
they would be into that thing. And I think
sure.
maybe that's what happened to Alan, because Alan got hooked on it
Oh, Alan Lanier.
after. Yeah, he did
Wow.
heroin for a while. So he kicked it, but it
Oh,
did
that's
it
good.
just it destroyed his body.
Yeah.
It really did.
Did did you guys going from like just that very first album is such an epic album cover? Did you
Mm.
guys choose the artwork for each album, or who was
That was
behind it?
all Sandy Perlman.
Wow.
All We never
Because
chose the artwork.
each did they just blow your mind when you saw them?
Yes. I mean, Sandy was a mind blowing guy. He had a vivid imagination. He would, he had this. He Within 2 weeks, he was telling me this story about this character Imaginos, and and he had several poems. It's kind of weird because about 6 months ago, Sandy, of course, passed away in 2016.
Yeah.
And people say, "Oh, well, where's his papers? Where's his writing?" I don't have any of that. I mean, I think Eric Bloom has some lyrics that Sandy gave him. They were in the band house, and when we left the band house, I didn't live there, so whoever lived there, Eric or Don, one of those guys, took them. But I never had any. But they, Sandy's cousin Michelle, she inherited. He had no heirs when he passed away, so she inherited everything, and he had a couple houses, and the one that he lived in, she just sold like 6 months ago, and so right before she was cleaning up the house, because or somebody was cleaning up, and she told Norman Pruslin, who's a professor at Stony Brook University and a friend of Sandy's. She said, "Why don't you come over and see? There's all these papers. Maybe they're valuable." And so he came over and he got like a suitcase full of papers, about 1,000 papers, and in there is all these, like really old. He was working on these things before I ever saw him. But he did tell the story of Imaginos in '67, and then I didn't hear much about it until we were signed to Columbia, and then
Right.
actually right before that well, actually we were signed to Elektra, and he produced some songs for us. So he wrote some tunes for us, Buddha's Knee, Queens Boulevard, a few others, and then and we recorded some of them. We recorded Gil Blanco County and Queens Boulevard and some other songs for Elektra, but that album never came out. We ended up getting dropped from the record. The lead singer quit in the middle of recording the record, and so we got Eric Bloom to sing, and they didn't like Eric, so we made more demos. We changed the key. We said, "Oh, Eric is a different kind of singer than Les," so we couldn't just plug him in. It just wasn't going to work. And so they agreed to let us make another record with Eric. And then after we made the record, I think they had second thoughts. They said, "I don't know. We don't know how to sell this. It's not typical Elektra stuff, Well, and I don't know. I didn't understand it at all. They made up the excuse that Sandy never gave them the running order of the record, so that's why they dropped us. But Sandy said he'd given him the running order. It was just an excuse. So anyway, I don't know really why. I mean, there was lots of speculation why they dropped us, but they dropped us, and now we went from, "Oh, we've got hope. There's hope that we're going to survive," and then dropped, and
it happens to so many bands.
And just when that happened was. Joe had just joined the band. There was a revolving set of people that played. Jeff, originally it was Alan, myself, Andy Winters, and Don, and John Wiesenthal. And then we had this guy, Mike Winters, who played cello. And then we got rid of Mike because he was just not dependable and he smelled. And then, sorry, Mike, if you ever listen to this, you guys are down in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Silky's in Florida. Yeah, I'm out of Atlanta. Yeah.
Anyway, so Mike smelled, so we got rid of him. And then John Wiesenthal he couldn't play the way that we wanted him to play. He was a classical guitar player, and he actually turned into a really great teacher. But at the time, his claim to fame was that he taught Jackson Browne how to play the guitar.
Oh, funny. That's.
But Jackson Browne, nobody knew who he was at that time.
All right.
As a matter of fact, I was the first lead singer, and then Jackson Browne was the second lead singer.
No way.
Wow.
And then
for you guys?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, for Soft Red Underbelly, yeah. And then we had Jeff Richards. Oh no, we had Jeff Richards as the lead singer. Then we had Les Brunstein, and Les was a very good singer. Better than Jackson, better than me, better than then well, Jeff Richards was a great singer, but he had stage fright, and
Mm,
so it was, yeah, when you see somebody and they're so scared like that on stage, it
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
it's a buzzkill.
yeah.
Ruins the
Yeah,
vibe. Yeah.
You guys
you got to come out and go, hey!
exactly. You guys had
Oops, well,
you guys had
pulled out.
Bruce. You
I
guys
got
had
so excited I pulled out my earphones.
oh,
That's all right.
you guys had Bruce Springsteen sing like uncredited on something.
No, that was the Dictators,
The
I think.
Dictator. Okay, I
Yeah,
saw that a
yeah,
few days ago, just preparing
yeah,
for this show.
yeah,
Was
yeah. He does a
what?
cameo on Faster and Louder.
Uh huh.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's
That's
amazing. Yeah.
hilarious. Um,
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other
yeah,
conversation, the Dictators.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
sticking to Soft Red Belly. So
yeah.
we had all these different lead singers. Finally, we got Eric Bloom, and Eric's first show. We played a society dance with it was like they wanted a rock band and a dance band. So the dance band was Lester Lannon and his Sounds of Renown. A big band,
Right.
Right.
he had like 12 people, horns and,
Oh, full
you know,
band. Yeah.
the whole thing, and played all this smooth music. And then they had us. And so then the next gig was the Fillmore East, with opening for Jethro Tull and Jeff Beck with
Wow.
Rod Stewart. And,
Nice.
and,
So Jeff Beck group.
we got blown off the stage, literally. I mean, almost literally blown off the stage. They were so much better than us, and we sucked, and they were great. And so,
It's
so
Jeff Beck. I mean, come on.
yeah, I know. He was my favorite guitar
Yeah.
player of all time. But so Sandy decided we had to change our name because we got a bad review in the local papers the next day. So it was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh geez. So that's what happened. But we still, at first we called ourselves Soft, and then we started calling ourselves Stock Forest Group, and that stuck until we were signing with Columbia Records. We'd auditioned for Clive Davis, and he liked us, and then so Sandy and Murray Krugman, who was our co-manager, co-producer, they said, "Listen, we have to have a name to put on the contract. They need a band name, and you guys have been arguing for weeks about what the band name should be." And so we said, "Okay, you guys just go in the room, don't come out until you got a name." So they go in the room, and they come out like 40 seconds later, and they're laughing, giggling, and going, "Okay, we got it. It's going to be called Blue Öyster Cult." And we're like, "What? Oh my God, that's the worst name ever."
How did they
Like,
come up with
you
that?
You said.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we knew that was a familiar name because Sandy had given us a set of lyrics called Blue Öyster Cult.
Yeah.
So the song existed before the name did of
Wow.
the band. So, and that was part of the Imaginos series of songs that he'd written.
But you guys didn't put that out till like '88. Like you came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that like your solo thing, and it became Blue Öyster Cult?
Yeah. Yep. That's
nice.
that story. That story of how I was asked to leave the band. And you were saying before about like, we played like 250, 280 shows a year.
Yeah, you were touring
in
constantly.
72, 73, 74, 75.
Yeah.
For those 4 years, we played over
Nonstop.
1,000 shows. Yeah. So, and we got along pretty good until I think in 1974, I was getting divorced from my first wife, and I was not in a good mood.
Sure.
I have to say, I tend to get emotional, and so I remember getting in a fight with Alan Lanier, of all people. I'm not sure why we started fighting. It was just, I mean, we're I think I slugged him and he slugged me, and then everybody jumped in. Eric grabbed Alan and Joe grabbed me, and said, "Cut it out, guys. We got another show to do tomorrow. Squash this fucking shit.
Yeah.
So, which we did, but it was a traumatic incident that
Sure.
that probably, if that had never happened, I would have never got kicked out in '81, because I had another incident where I lost my temper after the show. I didn't hurt anybody, but I did beat up my car.
Right. Were you guys? Did you consider yourselves heavy metal or prog rock? Where did you identify?
We didn't.
You just plugged in and played.
They just laid
we
it
just
down,
played.
man. Yeah.
I mean, I still think that I play jazz.
Nice.
That's in my mind. Even my latest song, which is called "Hell Compared to You."
Nice.
And it goes. Oh, anyway.
Is that solo or is that with like?
I think it's going to be a Dictator song. I played it, I did it as a joke, Well, not really a joke. It was a situation, where I'd broken up with my last girlfriend, and she was not having it. She was not having me break up with her. It was like, "I love you, I can't live without you, you son of a bitch."
Yeah.
Your mother's a whore. I'm going to put you in jail. She called the cops on me. I'm not kidding.
That's
she called
scary.
the fucking cops.
That's scary.
Please do not call the cops on me.
So
anything can happen when the cops are called.
Oh yeah,
they got their hands on their gun. They're like,
everything,
"Oh, man.
Everything. Your best dog runs out and they shoot the dog. You don't know.
That's perfect fuel for a Dictator song. That's going to be a great one.
So
yeah, I got another one called "Don't Call the Cops on Me," but that'll be for the next record. So, at first, when
go ahead,
I'm just gonna say, at first when they asked me to join, and they said, "Hey, we want if you got any material, because Andy hasn't been writing that much, and he's got some great stuff, but he didn't feel like it was Dictators type material." And I was like, "I got lots of stuff, but I don't." I played some of the stuff that I had, and they're like, nah. But we've been working on this record now for 3 years, and they came over last week to my house, and we recorded some stuff live in my studio, which is the first time I've ever done that, and it came out great. And they ended up doing one of my songs, a new song that I just written. It wasn't exactly. It was a little more serious than the typical Dictator song, because usually it's all about fun and or sarcasm. Fun and sarcasm. That's Dictator's formula. So
beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and but I did actually write another song with them. Actually, it was one of my fans wrote a book. This guy, John York, he wrote this great book, and he had all these quotes in it, and I took a line from his book, and we ended up making a song out of it called I don't know if it's not out yet, but it's called "Thank You and Have a Nice Day."
Well, I would love maybe down the road we do a proper Dictators show with you, if this is all good with you. But,
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, so you guys, you do 3 albums, Blue Öyster Cult, Tyranny and Mutation, Secret Treaties. Then you do a live album. Another amazing album cover is the On Your Feet or On Your Knees, that limo in front of the house.
Yeah.
Smokey. Yeah. These were album covers that I would just stare at, and you'd listen to the album, and the album covers were just amazing. Then Agents of Fortune comes out, and obviously Don't Fear the Reaper. Did you suddenly jump from coach seats to first class, or I mean, was it
Yeah, yeah,
suddenly everything
yeah,
changed?
yeah, yeah. Instead of worrying about the rent, we bought houses.
Right.
You know,
But
we all got new cars. You
from
know,
that album, that
yeah, yeah. Instead of opening shows, we were now the headliners.
right.
So that was the biggest change. And instead of doing 250 shows, we were doing like 150 shows.
Okay, right. Um,
You know,
and
so
so I wanted to ask you guys. So all of these albums after Ages of Fortune, you got Spectres, Some Enchanted Evenings, another live album. Great album cover, and then Mirrors. I always felt Mirrors was a softer album, a oddball in the list of albums that you guys did.
yeah, yeah.
Was
I do. I thought so too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was going
Yeah.
on? Uh,
Well, we wanted to use somebody besides Sandy Proman.
ah,
Sandy and Murray, we felt like we'd gotten as far as we could. As a matter of fact, when we did Agents of Fortune, we knew that Reaper was going to be a hit. And we were just worried that Sandy and Murray were not, they were going to screw it up.
I got you.
Because we actually, what happened was when Secret Treaties, when we finished Secret Treaties, we thought it was the best thing we'd ever done. It was really amazing. And the sounds that we got in that studio were just incredible. And then we listened to the record after it came out because we were on the road. We went right back on the road
Mhm.
after it was done. We didn't have any time to even listen to what we had. We just recorded it and back on the road and 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 all that drama that happened in 1974, with the divorce and all of that. So we come back and we're listening to the record and it sounds like it's got a blanket over everything. It's just like it's
Oh,
all like,
muted.
yeah, all the brilliance, all the I mean, maybe you could remix it and make it sound better,
Sure.
but I don't know. I'm sure you could actually, but so we hated the mix. So when we came to do the live record, which was going to be On Your Feet or On Your Knees, we demanded that they didn't mix it. As a matter of fact, we demanded that Jack Douglas mix it because he was doing Aerosmith at the time, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Talented
yeah,
cat.
why? They sounded so much better than us, and we knew from playing with them live that they were not.
Right. Right.
We knew they weren't better than us, but they
Right.
sure sounded better on the
Right.
record. And when we got and I remember hearing the raw tapes of On Your Feet, and it sounded bad. It was like, I don't
Oh,
know,
wow.
maybe we shouldn't put it out. And then Jack Douglas came, and after he mixed it, we're like, holy crap, this guy is a genius. He
Were there
really made it
were there
great.
specific songs like Dominance and Submission or Career of Evil? Were there ones that sounded muted to you, or it was the whole album?
You're talking about Secret Treaties.
Secret Treaties.
Yeah, that's the one that sounded muted.
Yeah.
And then On Your Feet is the one that it sounds brilliant, and
Yeah.
it is brilliant, but it didn't sound that way until Jack Douglas got a hold of it, and he
That's
just turned it
interesting.
into magic.
So
Yeah.
do you,
So
do you
much-
still
so much
think the
can
album
happen in the mix.
sounds? Do you still think that Secret Treaties sounds bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the songs are great.
Yeah.
The songs are great. The performances
my
are great,
favorite
but the sound is really not there. It's really it's wimpy.
Yeah.
It sounds
doesn't have
thin.
the punch.
It sounds like back in the USA.
Uh-huh.
Talk about MC5,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
how Kick Out the Jams, how ballsy that sounded. Bruce Bodnick and
Yeah.
and then
Just not-
John Landau. Okay, so there you go, another rock critic trying to mix a record.
Yeah. It's definitely a sophomore slump. Back
Yeah.
in the USA.
Yeah. So that's what, to me, that's what Secret Treaty sounded like, except that our songs were really strong. So, and some of it was insane, like ME 262.
Yeah.
just the happiest war song of all time.
Right. So you get closer. Was it cool having your brother in the band? Did you guys get along?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love playing with my brother.
That's
You
great.
know, I mean, he's not the greatest musician I've ever played with, but we have almost like a psychic connection. I mean, when we jam, we just, we can really
Well,
jam
you got
together.
the bass and drums. That you guys are supposed to do that.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter what instrument we play. I mean,
Uh-huh.
we had this band, the Bouchard brothers, that we played a bunch of gigs last year. Played a dozen gigs or so, actually more than that. Oh, maybe 15 gigs. And so that was the main band that I played with last year, but I also played with the Dictators and with Blue Öyster Cult even,
Yeah,
so
you guys had a 40th anniversary reunion or
yeah,
something like that.
50th, 50. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Only in New York, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 3 shows in Times Square, sold
Oh.
out. It was phenomenal.
Are they ever going to put that on something or?
Oh yeah.
To that.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
speaking
First night is already mixed.
Oh, so it's coming.
Yeah, and they're editing the video.
Oh,
So-
that's
but they have another record they're working on. It's a surprise record, so they have to finish that before they go
Right.
to the second night.
so. This is an exclusive breaking news thing here.
only on the
Yeah,
Snags and
yeah.
Silky podcast do you
Yeah.
get this kind
Yeah,
of breaking. Hey,
I know. I've told you. I've given you the name of the Dictators' next single, and now I just
Right.
told you about the BOC's new record.
Right.
And yeah,
We got the
Just need
inside
a-
scoop.
next to
Yeah, we just need lottery numbers, Al.
I do want to ask you though. Speaking of if stuff is going to get released, Silky and I were talking about how we don't see the Black and Blue tour. It was a film that was released at the time, but you don't see it streaming anywhere. You have any inside scoop on why that's not out?
two
Or if-
words:
Black Sabbath.
Tony Iommi.
Tony Allen,
Tony Iommi. Yeah,
he didn't want it out.
he hated. Yeah, he's embarrassed by it.
I really hope they get over that because I have a bootleg of it, but I would love to have a proper, a
Yeah,
proper
I actually made a copy that had it like it happened, where Black Sabbath plays first and then Blue Öyster Cult played, because that's how that was the other thing, that we were the headliners, and so I think that they had a pissy attitude about it. They didn't even show up for sound check. They were so pissed off.
Oh, the
'Cause
story.
they won.
The story I got is that they wanted. I think I got this right. They wanted you guys to move your set back for them to have the stage or something.
Oh,
Something
I didn't hear about that. Maybe
You
that's
were
what
there.
Geezer
Don't
told
trust
you.
me. I just it's
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they opened for us, and they went on really late, and they went really over, and it was like, oh my God, it was just a mess. But we we don't get mad.
Sure.
We get
You know,
even.
Like they had to go on at like 1 a.m. or something crazy.
No. They went on early. They were the opening act.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
Didn't like that.
They were
Okay.
playing too long. It was BOC having to go on late. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got you.
So
Okay,
how did you
that's
get
right.
even?
We played our asses off,
Yeah. Okay.
and we played a great set, and I think I like looking at it. It's like, wow, man, we kicked ass.
Well, with my thought, with Dio passed away, this is just another, piece of the man that people would want to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he sang great that night.
I would think Wendy would want that, and it was in the movie theater, so it was already released. So just let it, much like the Beatles and the Let It Be thing, they never put that out. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. Tony, I have it from good authority that Tony does not like the movie and does not want it coming out.
Well,
Tell Tony to
Yeah.
call us so we can have a word with him.
yeah, we need to
About that.
let's get Tony on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was there one incident that led to you finally saying, "Screw it, I'm out," or was it just
Yeah. It was. I mentioned this before.
yeah.
I lost my temper.
Oh, in
I
'81?
was yeah in '81. We played a gig in Leicester, and which I actually played last summer for the first time since then.
Oh,
And I went into a pub, the day before, and somebody was saying, "Oh yeah, I was at that gig."
oh,
The drummer didn't show up, and he came in and he played this amazing solo, and it was all great. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad you had a good time." I got kicked out that night.
yeah. Oh man.
So what was the story like? Why did you? We know like in '74 you had the fight, right? And then that
Right,
you
right.
laid the seat, but this is like six
Yeah.
7 years later. What
So
exactly?
now I'm getting divorced from my second wife, and I had my girlfriend at the time, this groupie that I knew, came on the road with me, and they did not want her. The They brought their wives on the road,
That's the rule of the road.
and they did not want me to bring a groupie on the road. So they said, "Well, you'll have to drive. You'll have to go by yourself." So I had done it for a gig in, I think, Skegness or someplace, Cornwall or somewhere on the North Sea, and I was late. I was an hour. I was they they had already started the show, and I came in about 3 songs in, and
Wow.
I just ran on stage and I played the show, and I was really apologetic, and I said I got lost, and they're like, well, leave earlier next time, so then we played a gig in London, and that was all good, and then the next night was in Leicester, and it wasn't that far. It was only about an hour from London,
Hmm.
or an hour and a half maybe. And so my girlfriend said, we have time, let's go to the Tower of London. So we go to the Tower of London, and I'm like, you know what, I'm feeling a little anxious about being late. Let's not do the whole thing. Let's go, go to the gig. So she says, okay. So we go. I turn the ignition. The car doesn't start. And so I wait a little while, 15 minutes or so. I tried again. I'm like, oh my God, the car doesn't work. So now I'm worried. So I call up Max Bell, who was a writer for New Musical Express and a personal friend. And I said, Max, can you give me a ride to the gig? He goes, I just have a Mini, and I was going to bring it's only a 2-seater, and I was going to bring my wife, but you know what? I'll come and pick you up, but I can't leave my job. I'm working on this thing. I've got to at least finish it before I leave. I said, okay. So waiting. Finally gets there with his girlfriend in the Mini, and he goes, well, try it now. I try it. It starts. Oh damn, so we drive to Leicester. I'm following him so as I don't fucking get lost, right?
Sure,
Following
sure.
him, and I get there, and now they're 2/3 of the way through the set, so there's only like 3 or 4 songs left to go.
Oh my God.
Godzilla was one of them. So I came in and I played, and after I played, I was just so pissed off. I was like, why everything is going wrong? It's a horrible day. You know what? That Ford Fiesta fucking Ford Fiesta. I didn't want it in the first place. I wanted like a Mercedes, and they gave me a Ford Fiesta. This fucking Ford Fiesta.
Another
And
Dictators song right there. Fucking Ford Fiesta.
I got to write that down.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You
So
can have it. I won't
went.
even ask for credit.
I went out to like, I don't know. I was going to break the mirror off the car. So I felt like damaging the car.
Mhm.
And on the way out, I saw a 2x4, and I'm like, oh,
Here we go.
here we go. And I went out and I broke every piece of glass on that car, even the inside rear view mirror. The all the windows, the headlights, the taillights.
I wonder if you left it in park, or if it wasn't in park and then it was, or that's
Oh,
crazy.
I don't know. Well, they told the rental place that the crowd, because because of the Ford, because I was late, they destroyed the thing.
Oh, nice! You're lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
or at least
Jumped
out of jail.
Yeah.
So they got.
Oh yeah. You're lucky to be alive. Yeah, that I didn't get caught in that. And while I was doing it, there was like 200 people around, just like, holy crap, he's going crazy.
Are you wearing the little black leather vest that I always see pictures of you?
I think
wearing this.
No. As a matter of fact, I was wearing devil horns and a striped shirt.
Oh,
That's
nice!
awesome.
I always like that
Car
vest.
smashing
That
gear
picture,
right there.
you guys.
Yeah.
There's a great picture of Blue Öyster Cult, and Albert's got this black leather vest, white shirt, and leather vest.
Yeah. Anyway, so as I'm coming back into the venue, Don Roser's, Buck Dahmer's wife is there, Sandra, and she said something, and I used a very vile expletive in her direction. It begins with C.
Yeah.
So, and which I never say that, but I was so mad. I just yelled at her.
Not the time to. Yeah.
And I went in the dressing room, and they said, "That's it, man. You're out of the band. We've had it with you with your shenanigans." So I go back to my room, and Sandy Perlman calls me up and says, "What the hell is going on? You've got to go down there, call a band meeting, go down, get on your knees and beg forgiveness and tell them, this will never happen again." I said, okay. So I said, call Steve and set up a meeting. So they set up a meeting. I go down. I'm really apologetic. I apologize to Sandra. I apologize to everybody, and he said, "Yeah, okay, well, you're going home anyway. It's too much, too much bad vibes,
bad blood, yeah."
So, and they said, "Well, you need to get your domestic situation straightened out."
Mm-hmm.
So I went back, and 6 months later, I called up Don, and I said, "Hey man, I'm calmed down. I'm seeing a therapist, and I'm doing all this stuff." And he's like, "Nah, we shit canned you, man. We said we were waiting for you to get your thing together, but we shit canned you. We 86'd you, man."
Wow.
I said,
man.
"Oh man,
After
that's
all
kind
those
of fucking
years.
cold."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You were
cold.
there at
That's hard.
beginning.
But now, on the other hand, so flash forward 14 years, 1995, and Don, I called up Don. I said, maybe we should talk about it. He says, "You're right." So we went out to dinner, and we talked about what happened, and and we both owned up to the shitty things that we did to each other, and how we weren't, how we were best friends for a while, and then we weren't very good friends at all to each other. So, so we kind of normalized things, and ever since then, it's just been, it's been getting better. You know,
That's good.
Well, that's good.
it was. I had a blast playing with those guys last fall.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much fun. And Eric, you know, everybody says, "Oh, it was Eric, right?" And it wasn't Eric. Eric was my buddy, man. He stood up for me. You
He's
know,
super cool. He always seems super
he
cool.
is cool. I like him. I mean, you know, he's, you know, at first I thought, you know, he has such a weird voice and I didn't think it would work, but actually you know, then over, you know, as we started working together more, especially the recordings, you know, he sounded great in the studio, you
Hmm.
know, even when he wasn't singing lead, just when he'd sing harmony with me, it would just bring the song up to another level, you know.
Right.
You know, you know, he wasn't the greatest guitar player, but you know, he works really hard at it, you know. And you know, he's definitely you know, uh, better than anybody in the New York Dolls. I mean, back then.
Yeah.
You
Well, that
know,
was their
now they
shtick,
have Steve
right?
Conti.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said that was their
Yeah,
shtick. They were bad.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. It's
So
sloppiness. It's a
you've got
virtue.
you've got two songs on Extraterrestrial Live. Um,
Yeah,
I believe it's Black Blade and Dominance and Submission, if I'm
yeah, yep,
remembering.
yep.
But that's
That's it.
it. Was that a slight, or just they pick the best recordings as they go along, or
I don't know.
who's to say?
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that deal was. You know, I think that they felt like they needed another record, and they didn't have any material because, you know, every record I could fill up a record with all my demos, and you
Hmm.
know, I mean, I I redid those demos for years. You know, we made like 9 Brain Surgeons records. You know, with
Right.
the,
Hmm.
the group that I played with for about 15 years,
Yeah.
and a lot of it was the songs that BOC rejected. You know,
Uh-huh.
so
And you had your own record label, right? During that time, and actually
yeah,
released stuff from
yeah,
other artists.
yep, that's true. Yeah,
What was it
I
like being
released a.
a record mogul?
Oh, it was, you know, it was all right. You know, I had a day job. I was a teacher in a high school at the time, so it was really
No
more
way.
like like a hobby. You know,
Right, right.
I never
What
really.
subject? What
What
subject in school, in high school, did you teach?
Well, when I first started teaching, now don't forget I had dropped out of college to play in the band, so I didn't have a college degree. So they won't let you teach without a college degree in New York City. So I
Right.
had to go back to college. But so for the first 3 years, I worked as a teacher's aide, and then you know I was like a push-in specialist for reading, which I knew nothing about it. You know,
Right.
English was my worst subject in high school. So, you know, I was, you know, if I had to do math, that was easy. You know, I have a
Hmm.
natural feel for math, but the English was rough. But then I got my degree and I got my license 3 years later, and the music teacher went on sabbatical. So I got to
There
teach
you go.
music for my first year as a teacher. And that was great. You know, I had some very talented students, and we
Did they
played for.
know who you were?
No, no,
No.
not a clue.
Are you
They,
serious?
as a matter of fact, yeah. Even after a while, you know, kids would always be like, "Sure, yeah, you're a rock star. You had a hit record. What the hell are you doing here, teaching us losers?" You know,
Right.
I'm in my
and I'd say,
early 50s,
yeah.
and I have a Rolling Stones shirt that just has the tongue logo and nothing else. And I have kids in their 20s going, "That's cool. What is that?" I'm just like, I think I'm just going to
Yeah.
slip my wrist now.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is the urban youth in New York City. So
Yeah.
most
Sure.
Latino and black. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
I was Romeo Santos or or James
Yeah.
Brown, they'd know who I was. But
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
So, but but then that all changed in 2000.
Oh,
The cowbell skit. The
oh,
cowbell skit.
Oh,
right.
is that?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
going to ask
Yeah.
you about that, and I didn't want to just hit you
Yeah.
with that right up.
No,
So that
all of a sudden I was infamous in the school. I was the guy in the cowbell
You
skit
were the more
playing
cowbell
the
guy.
cowbell.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
is
and
that
everybody
based on anything that actually happened, or
it was made up completely in Will Ferrell's mind. I
right?
don't know how he even heard the cowbell. Really, it must have been some sort of he must have been high or something, and
Right.
he just got this funny idea about like what is the cowbell doing in that song? How could it possibly get in the song? It must have been the producer. Well, that's
Right.
exactly what happened.
Uh
It
huh.
was the producer. It
That's
was
a true
David
story.
Lucas who.
That's all.
Yeah,
That part of
well, it is, except that I mean, I was more doubtful about it than Will Ferrell was playing the cowbell. I mean, I'm like, really? Boom, boom, boom. It just doesn't sound right, and so we kept doing things, putting some tape on it, and eventually I grabbed like a timpani mallet, like a softer beater, and I used that and then Don said, "Yeah, that never felt like it was great, but Don said, "Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I get it." So we kept it in. And then when they were mixing, I'm saying, "Put it." Shelly Yakis was mixing. Shelly, turn that cowbell down, man. It sounds like shit.
So you
And
were
he's
saying
like, if I
less
turn,
cowbell.
I was saying less cowbell. That's exactly right. And Shelly'd say, if I turn it down anymore, you won't hear it. I remember this exactly. And I said, yeah, what's wrong with
and
that?
that's great.
And Don is like, it's okay the way it is, Shelly. Leave it the way it is. So, but yeah, we were all there in the mix. That doesn't really happen anymore. You send your
Right.
stuff to a mixer and he sends it back
Send it off.
and says, what do you want changed? Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. You played with Mike Watt. Is that just for that single? You remade Dominance and Submission
And Mike Watt's a
with
super fan, obviously, right? He loves Blue Öyster Cult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I have almost every time he comes to New York, I sit in with him. I sit in with his band.
Nice.
And, I saw him in 2020 in Los Angeles. I went to the NAMM show, and he was there. And he said, "I'm playing down the street tonight. You want to come?" And so I did. I played Red and the Black and a little bit of Seven Screaming Disbusters.
That's
Nice.
cool.
And I might add that now the other thing, and you guys, I don't know if you know this, but I've been putting out these Imaginos records. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, you've got a trilogy now.
Yeah, yeah. So I put out the third version of that, and on this new record, Mike Watt is singing one of the songs.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And these
So-
are just
Yeah,
under
But
Alan
you've got-
Bouchard, right? I mean Albert Bouchard. They're not. It's not a
yeah,
group name. It's solo.
yeah. Although, what's that?
Albert, go ahead.
Yeah, I have Richie Castellano from BOC is on it. He's singing another song, and we wrote it actually together. It's a song that Sandy Pearlman suggested I write like a long time ago, and I did, but he didn't like what I did. So,
And
are you
and
guys
now-
getting me?
Yeah, yeah. No, I can hear you. I think we're having a little bit of a connection issue with Silky.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
the
Because you
is
were
the Reimaginos?
you were frozen there for a minute.
I can hear you and I can see you. Silky's connection.
Okay.
Okay.
There he goes.
Is the Reimaginos
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
acoustic?
Go ahead, Silky.
Okay. What's your
Is
question, Silky?
Is the Reimaginos acoustic? Is that part 2 for the Imaginos trilogy, or was that separate?
No, that was part one. That was redoing the.
Part 1.
What happened was when we were making the original one, and I got a band together. I got like people that I really enjoyed playing with, I enjoyed their playing, and I hadn't really played with them. Like Kenny Aronson was my favorite bass player, still is.
Wow.
And
Right.
Tommy Price is an amazing drummer, and Tommy Morangello and Jack Rigg, great guitar players, and I had and Tony Mandel, amazing. I saw him. I met him when he was playing with Ian Hunter and Mick Ronson, and then this other guy, Tommy Svanchek. So I had a whole bunch of guys, really great musicians, and we're in the middle of the whole thing. And Sandy says, "You know what? I think these songs would be better off like folk songs, like children's nursery rhymes. That's what it should sound like. Maybe we should do it all over again." I'm like, "What? No, I need a band to go take this thing out on the road. We can't just stop. We've spent all this money." He said, "Well,
Right.
but that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to make an acoustic version of it." And
Gotcha.
so when people were saying, "Well, you should do it the way that Sandy intended," they didn't realize that Sandy had suggested that I do it that way. But that's what I did. I did it for him, basically.
I got you.
And just
So
to see if it would be pleasing to
how
hear
it
it
would
like
sound, yeah.
that. Yeah,
I've heard a few. It's interesting.
yeah,
I've heard the Imagino so much. It's hard to hear it the other way,
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's still good. It's still
yeah.
amazing.
Well, when I go out, when I play these songs live, I don't do it. I mean, it would be cool to do it acoustic, but I have a band now, so we do it electric. We do all those songs. We don't even do. Here's the thing: is there's 3 records. Each record is over 70 minutes. So to do to play them all, in one show, it would be 3 hours and
That'd be
3.5 hours, something like that. So yeah, it's a lot, and especially it's not like I'm pulling out hit after hit.
yeah.
Right,
It's
yeah.
kind of a
it's for the
These are
hardcore fans.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are 7-minute songs, and so so I think that the plan is right now that I'm going to vary it up. I'm going to try and play all the songs from the 3 records over the course of the 4 gigs that I have coming up. So
you do like Bombs Over Germany
yeah,
one night.
yeah, 7 Screaming Disbusters the next, and we'll do Astronomy. We'll do Shadow. Astronomy is like a slower, mellower song, and so are like Shadow of California and some of the Ariana on the new one. So
Is there's a story about Astronomy. I heard that you guys just had the lyrics, but you didn't know quite how it came about. Is that true?
the story is really that Sandy brought the lyrics to the band house and showed them to us, and Joe got a great idea for the song, and so he did the song, but Sandy didn't like it because Joe left out about half the lyrics, and
Oh,
um, yes, and Eric had already done that with Blue Öyster Cult. He took out half the lyrics and then made Subhuman. It's just it's very not very many lyrics for a Sandy song. I mean, Sandy.
gotcha.
Oh, I forgot to tell you that. So Michelle had his cousin had all these papers, and I have them here behind me in the closet, and and I have an artist that's working on the Imaginos, the Reimaginos. Well, she did the cover for the Reimaginos comic, and also designed a bunch of the characters for the comic, and she's going to be involved in making the other 2 comics. So there will be a Bombs Over Germany comic and a Mutant Reformation
Oh
comic.
man,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for those. That sounds amazing.
yeah. It's great. I know Sandy wanted to make Imaginos into a video game, and I think I still think that'd be a great idea. Because then you could,
Sure.
the choices you would make would reorder the songs, and maybe have a different.
Yeah. Well, it could be full of Blue Öyster Cult history
Oh
too.
yeah. Well, the thing is that I've done these 3 records, and over the course of the 3 records, I have recorded every single Sandy Pearlman song that has ever been put out, and some that
Wow.
never were put out. So
Right.
yeah, so yeah, but I have a suitcase full of lyrics back there.
See,
So,
that's a
yeah.
coffee table book right there.
Oh
Just
yeah,
just to
Or
yeah.
read.
future songs.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there were of the songs that never got of the lyrics that never got made into songs. There's
Mhm.
13 of them,
Oh, there you
and
go.
Oh,
then
okay.
there's about another 23 poems that could also be
Oh,
adapted. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a
that,
lot of stuff.
material for the future.
there's some projects there for
Yeah.
sure. Uh, so you guys did a Motorhead tribute,
Oh.
uh, or an album called "Sheep in Wolves' Clothing."
Yeah.
What what Motorhead did you cover on that?
Back at the Funny Farm.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, and we did
from
it like gypsy jazz, like
oh
Django
man,
Reinhardt, basically.
That's awesome.
yeah, I have to track that
Yeah.
down. I have to track. I can't find it,
Yeah.
so I had to ask you. I
Yeah.
can't find it.
Hey,
Yeah,
I
that
want to
was
hear
some
a little bit
little
about the
label.
band you had with Dennis Dunaway, the Blue Coupe.
Oh,
Blue
Yeah,
Coupe.
tell us how that came
Yes,
about and what that
still
was
have.
like.
Okay, so well, I've in 1972 we played with Alice Cooper for the first time,
Yeah,
and
the Alice
that
Cooper
that
group, which is
yeah, the
important
Alice Cooper
distinction.
group. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
well, they were touring Killer at the time, so we
phenomenal
got to
album.
open the show for Killer on I think maybe 3 or 4 shows.
Yeah,
And then
Love that.
in 1973, I can't remember what the album was.
Tyranny and Mutation.
No. Well, Tyranny and Mutation, but Alice Cooper had put out
oh, what's
Uh,
the next
Dead
one after?
Babies.
Killer and Love It to Death.
Love It. No. What was the one with Dead? Anyway,
Dead Babies.
yeah,
Billion Dollar Baby.
$1 billion Babies. That's what it was.
Right,
So
yeah.
so we toured on that tour. We did like a dozen shows with them. And at that time, we really started getting very friendly. We had crazy parties about road stories. Yeah, we would have crazy parties with Alice Cooper.
I bet.
We one time we were all getting high and drunk in a I think it was like Raleigh, North Carolina, and Alice Cooper was staying in a Holiday Inn, and we were staying at like a I don't know. Motel 6 or something, not as nice. So they
Right.
had the party in their room, and we're up on like the 10th floor or something in this high rise in Raleigh. There's not many high rises in Raleigh, but it was a high rise,
Right.
and so Don Roser's like he wanted to go. He says, "I want to go back to the hotel," So we said, well, we got the station wagon. You'll have to take the box truck, which is what we had a box truck at that time to carry our equipment. It was a 20-footer or something like that, 20-foot box truck. So he left, and we're partying away, and all of a sudden the whole building starts shaking. We're like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
earthquake, and somebody says, no, Don Road. He ran into the awning in front of the hotel. It's this big cement awning, and he rocked the whole place.
Damn.
Yeah, he tried to go under it, and the truck was too high.
That's never good. That's never good.
So
yeah,
you and Dennis
survived.
became pals early on then during all that stuff.
Oh yeah. And then they moved to Connecticut, and that was then and I was living in Connecticut. Don was living in Connecticut. My brother Joe was living in Connecticut. And we all lived in this one town, Stamford. So I got together. I would see him now and then, but we never played together until I guess it was the CBGB's It was the Save CBGB's concert. There was, they had
Oh,
a bunch of concerts to make money to try and convince Gilly not to close,
yeah.
Right, right.
and so he was playing with the Dennis Dunaway project, and his drummer Russ couldn't make it. He said, we're only going to do like 4 or 5 songs. Can you play with me? I said, sure. What songs are we going to do? I'll learn them. And so I did that. They played a bunch of songs from he had the Dennis Dunaway project record.
Mm-hmm.
And so I played some of those. I think the 2 or 3 of those. And then we played Under My Wheels, 18, and School's Out. So I played all those songs. So I get there, and then Joe shows up, and he, and so I played the Dennis Dunaway project songs, and then Joe gets up on stage to do the Alice Cooper stuff. And so there was somebody in the audience. I don't know. I met the guy eventually, but and I can't remember his name right now, but he, Hobart, that's what it was. That's where Peter Haviland went to school.
Ah,
Yeah, let me just go back to that because that was bugging me. So
leave no stone
Pete
behind.
Haviland went to Hobart, right? And when he was in Hobart, he played with a band called the Lost and Found. And the lead singer of the Lost and Found was this guy named Eric Bloom.
Ah,
Ah,
And so,
Full circle.
a year later, I'm in Sam Ash, and we're looking at a picture of the Lost and Found. I said, I know these assholes, and somebody next to me goes, "You know these guys?" I said, "Yeah, I know Peter Haviland. I played with him, 2 summers ago." He goes, "Oh, that's my band." And I look around. "Oh, you're Eric Bloom. Oh, pleased to meet you." And so that's how Eric got hooked up with the Soft Red Underbelly.
that's
Was through
wild.
Hobart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he went to Hobart too. So anyway, back to Dennis Dunaway and
The
and
origins of Blue Coupe.
Yeah, the origins of Blue Coupe. So my friend said I brought my other friend who owns a club in Pennsylvania called the Club 415, and he just bought it, and they're having a grand opening in I guess it was in January. Yeah, he called me in January. He says, "Yeah, grand opening in 2 weeks, and he's willing to give you, Joe, and Dennis $1,000 a piece to come and play his club."
Wow.
I said, "Oh,
Nice.
okay. We're talking
Let me think.
seriously?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, he's got money. I said, "Okay." So I'll call him and see if they want to do it. And so I called them, and they said, "Sure." But Dennis is like, I can't practice. I've got stuff going on. I'm going to have to cancel something, but I'll do it, for the money. And Joe's like, "Yeah, we can't practice, but we know the songs. We'll just do them." So we went there, and of course we get there, and they don't want us to just play the hits. They want us to play 3 sets. And
wow.
so we kind of cobbled together 2 sets, and we said, "Oh, we can't play anymore." And they said, "No, play the first set over again."
Oh, geez.
So that's the only time I think that Dennis Dunaway has ever played any Grateful Dead.
That's hilarious.
That'd be tough. That'd be tough.
But that was how it started, and then somebody had their camera. This was in 2008, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2008, winter of 2008. And well, actually, then somebody it started getting out that we're playing together, and we didn't even have a name at that time. And so about 10 months or 9 months later, 10 months later, Andy Hilfiger calls me up and says, "Hey, you and Joe and Dennis want to play at the Halloween parade in the village on a float?" Like, what? On a float? Yeah, sure.
That's badass.
So we got, yeah. So we played for like, this was our second gig. We played for like 2 million people, and on national TV and everything. It was like, wow, So
That is so
it was really cool. We froze our asses off, but and we only played 3 songs: "Burning for You," "Don't Fear the Reaper," and "School's Out." This we would play that. We'd play it at one block, and then we'd move up another block and play it
Just
again. And
redo
move
it
up
because the
another block.
audience changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah. So we just played the same. So by the end of the night, we really knew those songs. We had it down.
Yeah.
Singing and playing.
I submit it on our show. We make playlists for each music that we, the subject of each episode. And I
Mhm.
did a fairly in-depth playlist. We called it Screaming Dizbusters. And, but I did add Devil's Highway and Hellfire Hurry
Oh yeah.
from Blue Coupe.
Yeah.
Put some of that at the end. So it's mostly Blue Öyster Cult, but I put you do In the Presence of Another World on your solo. I put that at the end. So, and I've represented the remake of Seven Screaming Dizbusters from Bombs Over Germany, and then 3 songs from part 3 of the Imaginos. It's all in our website for the fans to check out.
Yeah, it's this guy is a master playlist maker, so this is a preeminent Albert Bouchard playlist on Spotify.
I actually looked at it before.
Well, I've added.
Oh,
I've added since. So there's like 4 Brain Surgeon songs on there. Mainly just if somebody's never heard of you, they can go on and go through, see the songs they need to know.
Or if they haven't caught up after the BOC years, catch everybody up.
Yeah.
So
So this is going to be a good year for records, because I have 2 more records that are definitely coming out this year, and possibly 4 more. Because there's the Blue Öyster Cult record, which I'm involved in. And then, actually, there's 2 Blue Öyster Cult records. There's the Surprise record, and also
that we don't know about.
So the Surprise record, are you hinting at a new studio project with BOC?
I don't know. I'm not at liberty to really discuss it.
We will be killed if
it's not a live record.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a studio recording.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's a studio recording, and then there's the live record, which is also going to come out this year. And there's of the
that's what I
the Times Square, and then also there's a new Dictators record, which is most likely coming out this year.
Oh, that's cool.
Now there's a Dictators EP that just came out, right?
That was last year, but and
just a single last.
But it's going to be a proper album. We have 11 songs already recorded, and we have at least 3 more that we want to get out.
Great.
But I'm not sure if it's going to be out. I can't say for sure. But I will say that the new Blue Coupe record is absolutely coming out this year, probably next month.
Cool.
So before September. So
man, we got Alice Cooper, we got BOC, we got Dictators. That's a triple threat, man.
My life is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you just keep going. Just keep going.
I get I get opportunities. It's like it's just fantastic.
That's right. Lemmy Kilmister once said, "You have to just keep going."
Yeah, someone's asked him what the secret to Motorhead's success was, and he just kind of looked kind of confused, and he says, "Don't stop. Just don't stop."
Yeah.
That's
stop.
Right. Even the Sex Pistols sound good.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. I heard when they did the reunion tour in the mid-'90s, they actually all had to stop playing their instruments for about a month just to get
Yeah.
the old Sex Pistols sound back a little bit because
The
they'd all
ragged,
gotten too good.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
Yeah,
They had to
funny.
let the blade get dull.
right. Yeah,
If there was any band I was just not excited about seeing, it was the Sex Pistols. Mainly the idea of them playing in front of, you know, 200,000 people.
the
It just seemed
filthy
wrong.
lucre
Right,
tour.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was better in a 50-person pub.
right.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah,
exciting, actually.
yeah. You guys, I have to grab my charger for this
All right.
computer.
Well, we're coming up on the hour and a
So
half
you
mark
talk for-
too. So Albert,
Yeah,
whenever you're ready. As
yeah,
he grabs the charger, though, there's something I just wanted to ask. We've been
yeah.
grilling you about everything Albert Bouchard for the last hour and a half. Are there any stories or highlights from your life in music that we haven't asked you about or prompted you to talk about? Is there anything that a good story that you like to tell from your career?
Hmm. Well, I mean, there's not really. I can't think of any stories that I haven't told, but I am proud of what I did as a teacher. I did
Talk
get
about
to
that a little
go
bit.
and meet.
Talk about that
Yeah,
a little bit.
I got to meet President Obama. Got to say a few words to him, and he said a few words to me. And he sent me a very nice letter afterwards.
And this is
So,
just
and I got a
purely
little.
based on your achievements as a teacher. He wasn't like
Yes,
the super
yes,
fan. Oh, it's the dude from BOC.
yeah. That's I had told the guys in BOC because I was playing with them at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I did a half a dozen dates with them in 2016
Okay.
for I guess it was the 45th or something, or I don't know, 40th of Agents of Fortune, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember, but for whatever reason, they wanted me to play with them, so they took me on the road, and we played like 6 shows.
Right.
And I was telling them that I got invited to the White House, and they said, "Oh yeah, well Obama is a big Blue Öyster Cult fan. He probably found out that you're a teacher, and that's why you got invited." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy. That's cool." And so then I wrote him a letter and brought him, had the guys sign a BOC record, signed record,
Mm.
and brought it to him. And of course, I thought I was going to hand it to him.
You handed it to some
But
Secret Service agent who X-rayed it.
yeah, exactly, with the X8 machine right there. Yeah, that was like, no, I was not going to
That's
hand
hilarious.
nothing to the president.
Right.
Nothing. So, but I did get to, and when the event happened, it was Teacher of the Year award. I did not get that. Somebody else got it, but I was there. And then they told me that because it was his last time doing it, that he wasn't going to be president anymore, that he wanted he wanted teachers from all over. He didn't want just the people who won. He wanted teachers from all over the world, especially the teachers from the big cities.
Right.
So I went as a representative of New York City.
And was the
Yeah.
was
That's
the BOC connection though? He really was a fan.
He didn't realize it until he read the letter that I gave him.
Okay. So you were invited
Yeah,
purely
yeah.
on your merits as a teacher, and then there was an
Yes.
extra bonus there. Oh, it's the dude from BOC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. He
Cool
said
story.
it's really amazing.
Well, it's very honorable to give something back and see just the kids really taking
Yeah.
from your
Oh yeah.
instruction.
I get messages from them all the time. I mean, I had a great effect on them, a positive effect, I believe. And the last 3 years I was the dean, which is I really loved it. Actually, nobody wanted to be the dean. It's like you have to deal with the knuckleheads. I'm like, oh well, that's like dealing with me.
Hey, you dealt with a
Yeah.
fucking Ford Fiesta. Being a dean is going to be a breeze, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It was. I loved being a dean. I had good advice for all these guys. I mean, sometimes I'd say you should drop out of school. You test so well. Get your GED. Don't waste your time. Don't chase these little girls around. Find somebody, that's really ready to be a woman,
Yeah, yeah, it's got to be a team effort, not just
Yeah,
the lust thing. And then you're paying some baby mama for years and
exactly,
years and
exactly.
years.
Don't ask Silky about that.
Easy, easy.
Oh, don't ask me about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was going to ask you, with all your millions now and fame, do you ever just want to get a Ford
Fiesta and like beat the shit out of it?
Yeah.
or just having it out in the
We
backyard?
could have a
on
YouTube channel, different ways to destroy Ford Fiestas, and just each week blow up a new one, set it on fire.
I just if let's just say this, just Albert, if I had been in that band, I would wait like years, and I would give you a Ford Fiesta.
Pull up a truck in front of your house with like 8 Ford Fiestas.
Yeah, right. Park them on the front yard.
It would just be
let them rust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Do you have anything else?
That's about it. That's it. I mean, I'm having the time of my life right now. I love my band. It's fantastic.
It sounds like you got a lot of projects coming.
Sounds like you have a blast.
Yeah.
It would be if I do want to thank you for just answering my humble email or however I got in touch with you to see if you'd want to be on the show. Yeah. Just so cool of you.
Well, I've been doing a lot of interviews right now, because the record's out, and I have a publicist, and I was going to send you through him, but I thought, I didn't have anything going today. I've got interviews now the rest of the week, but today was a free day, so I thought, oh, this is perfect. Yeah.
But just to wrap up the episode, Albert, it's been great. This has been a blast, and
thank you, Snags.
Definitely one of my favorite episodes so far, and we'll look forward to talking to you again in the future. And keep us updated on how all this stuff's going.
Yeah, we'll do.
So everybody, check out the Snags and Silky website. Buy the merch, the mugs, the hoodies.
Most importantly,
t-shirts.
check out the best Albert Bouchard playlist on Spotify. We'll drop that
of all time.
And
well, thank you guys.
Thanks. This was
awesome.
awesome.
So much.
All right.
Thank you, Albert.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers and beer.